everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing fantastic. It is currently the weekend and just having a glorious sunny day. It's warmed up, we're into April now, so it's about time. Kind of a contrast maybe, I don't know, but I wanted to talk about homeschool burnout because I don't know about you. It's April, it's currently April 2nd actually, and I would say since like the beginning of February, sort of halfway through February, I have been feeling the burnout, and it's every year. Like, it's pretty much every year. I'm sure I'm not even the only person who's talking about this because it's a very common and real thing. I mean, you can kind of feel it whenever, but I find that homeschoolers tend to sort of, it affects them at similar times of the year. I know for me, it's like right before the holidays, because you've kind of been doing that, you know, you just start back to school in September or August, whenever you start back to school, you know, you're consistently going right up until December, end of December. So usually right just before the holidays, I'm starting to feel like I definitely need a break. Then we come back from the holidays and I feel recharged, you know, everyone's ready to go again, back to school. And then mid-February, I think part of it is the weather. For me, I know part of it's kind of the weather because it's just gloomy and cold still. I'm over being stuck in the house. And I also think it's a little bit of like the post Christmas blues in a way, because there's a lot going on between, you know, September and December. Back to school, you have Thanksgiving, you have Halloween, you have Christmas, you have New Year's, and then the new year starts and it's kind of just like a lull until you get to Easter. But anyway, I'm definitely feeling the burnout, and I know there's only like what, 5-6 weeks left until the end of school. When I say it like that, it doesn't sound like a lot, and I guess it's really not, and yet it feels like it's dragging on. Okay, so I kind of just wanted to talk about it, and I kind of just wanted to share it so that you know that I'm feeling it too, if you're feeling it. Or, you know, I think especially like maybe if you're newer to homeschooling, if you're kind of experiencing this for the first time, it may be extra overwhelming, and you may be almost questioning if you made the right choice homeschooling. But I'm here to tell you it's a very normal thing. It's a very normal thing to kind of feel overwhelmed and just feel sort of tired. That feeling of just like, I don't know if I can keep doing this until like June. But yes, I feel it too. I know a lot of other homeschoolers go through this too. So it is very normal. Don't be discouraged. I would hate for you to think that this is kind of the be all and end all of whether you made a good choice to homeschool your kids or not. Because it's like anything else, and I've said this before, it's like anything else is going to have ups and downs, highs and lows. Homeschooling is no different. You could be exactly where you want to be. You could be doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and you're still going to have good days and bad days. There's going to be ebbs and flows like there is to anything. You know how it is, like you can love, even if you like love your job or you love a hobby or you love to do something, it doesn't necessarily mean that like every second of every minute of doing that thing that you absolutely adore it. Things happen, life happens, and that's just how it is, and we're human. So I'm here to tell you, if you need to know, you're not alone. We are all feeling the burnout. And so along with that, I kind of just wanted to talk about what I've been doing to sort of to neutralize my feelings a little bit. And honestly, not that we're not enjoying it, but kind of just make it through to the finish line. One of those things is, and again, I say this every time, you have to do what works for you. And you know, what I talk about that, you know, we do might not be feasible for you, or maybe it's not what's going to help you out. So you got to find out what's going to make things run a little smoother for you. But I know for me, I have been a lot more relaxed as to when we start school. I loosely aim to start school by 9 o'clock. We start our morning time. We're at the kitchen table doing that. Honestly, I've kind of let it go. We still do it and we're still getting it done, but I just haven't been as rigid and strict about that. And you know, everybody being able to kind of, when I say sleep in, I just mean probably a half an hour, but for everyone it's like such a big deal that if I let them, if I'm like, oh, it's okay if you guys sleep in a little bit tomorrow, it's like the best thing in the world for my kids. And for me, honestly, for me, usually I'm awake anyway, but it's nice to know I can just take it a little bit slower than I normally do before we actually jump into school. So that's one of the things I've been doing. Another thing I've been doing is I have have been our elective stuff. It's not that we're not still doing the extras and the elective things, but I've kind of been paring down how often we do it. Now, it's still there. It's kind of unofficially on our schedule, you know, things like science or history, art, things like that. Average, we do those twice a week. Aside from art, we do that once a week. But if we only do it once a week, we're only doing it once a week. If we don't do it that week, we're not doing it that week. And again, that could be a controversial thing, but I kind of talked about, I think it was in my like things I don't do video, about how the end of the year comes and a lot of times we don't completely finish all of our curriculum. Now, that doesn't really apply so much to the core stuff, just because we just do it. We just do that every day. So I don't know, it's automatic. If we're gonna let anything go, it's not gonna be like the math and the English and stuff like that. But everything else at this point, with like 6 weeks to go, it's not just me feeling it, it's my kids feeling it. And again, you know, difference of opinion, and that's fine. To me, that's another one of those like freedom of homeschooling type things where I can make that decision, and as long as it's not, you know, detrimental to their overall education, I'm not pulling out math, I'm not pulling out language arts like reading and things like that. We're doing all of those things. But missing a science unit lesson, it's not going to be the end of the world. Not doing art one week is not the end of the world. If I do that, it's usually because our day is going a little bit slower, you know, like we've had a late start, and if everybody's kind of just lagging a little bit, then I'm not just going to try to cram those things in. Those are going to be the first things to go. Now that the weather's getting a little bit nicer, now it hasn't been consistently nice, but every once in a while we're having like a day or two throughout the week where it's nicer. We're trying to get in all the sunshine we can. If you can get outside, or we could just take a break and go somewhere for a little bit for a change of scenery, I find that that helps. So sometimes just going to the library, but not even just that, sometimes just like taking a break in the day to literally just go out. Like sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes we'll be like, let's just go get some donuts from Tim Hortons, grab a coffee, bring home some Timbits, and like even just that little break, that little sort of spontaneous thing in the middle of our day gives everybody a little more pep in their step to finish off, you know, the rest of the day a little more strong. Another thing is I talk about how a couple times a week I will throw on a documentary for the kids, or like one of those zoo animal shows. My kids love those types of things. We tend to watch those during lunch, so it doesn't really take up like extra time. Sometimes it goes like a tiny bit over lunch, but it doesn't really like upset our day. But you know what? Sometimes we're just gonna do that a little longer than we normally would. And I still chalk that up to they're learning, it's educational. And then probably another thing that's sort of related, well, it is for me, is I've just been making our dinner times a lot more simpler, even more simpler than I normally do. And what I mean by that is I'm trying to come up with more meals that I don't have to plan as much like during the day. There's not a lot of prep work involved, that I have to be starting on dinner super early, because we still have quite a few extracurricular activities pretty much from like Tuesday to Thursday, and then on the weekend a little bit. My kids are all in some sort of, they're doing music class, swimming class, what else do we do? Ballet. I was like trying to think, did I say music? Yeah. So those nights are pretty busy. And, you know, to me that kind of correlates because we go straight from finishing school into those activities, and depending on the night they can go like well past dinner time. It always gets a little stressful. Like I'm kind of just feeling rushed from school and then trying to prep dinner and trying to find those moments to get dinner ready and stuff. I've been pulling from my easiest, less prep needed dinner recipes, like more so than not. And we're talking like, you know, the barbecue chickens you can get from like Costco, barbecue chicken, some salad, maybe some roast potatoes, done. Some fresh pasta and sauce, a salad, some bread, done. We make stromboli. That's like a really easy thing to do because I buy the pre-made pizza dough, throw it all together, it's in the oven, the kids love it, done. I mean, there's a few things we do, big breakfast for dinner. These are things that we typically will do, but I'm just like doing them more than I normally would because they're just quick, they're easy. I usually have most of the ingredients on hand and they're meals that the kids all like. And so it just kind of helps me through the day because I know Dinner's gonna be a breeze. It's gonna take no time to make, and I don't have to take time out of the day to make sure that dinner's on the table. And then just along with that, really quick, I would say, you know, find little moments during the day to maybe just sit with a cup of tea, or, I mean, I encourage you anyway, because for me, it's like a non-negotiable to start my day off with time for myself in terms of my Bible and my devotional and that kind of stuff. But even if it's just throughout the day, grab a minute to yourself. I know we tend to, as moms, we try to fit things in, especially when the kids are occupied. We think, oh, I can go throw laundry now, or like, oh, I can go clean that thing while they're doing this. And as much as that's great, I mean, you know, that's a great way to be efficient and obviously a good use of time when you're trying to be responsible with, you know, the things that you have to tend to and take care of. When you're going through a time though of overwhelm and, like I said, a burnout kind of situation, I would encourage you more so than not to try to take a couple of minutes to recharge for yourself. It's kind of like that whole thing, you know, when it's like, oh, when the baby sleeps, you sleep too. I would say this is one of those times when the kids are like, even if they're just doing their independent work and I don't actually have to be doing anything right then and there, I'll still stay in the room with them and stuff, but I'll make myself a cup of tea. I bring a book with me everywhere I go because I never know when I'm going to have a minute to read. And I'm a reader. I love to read, and I'll find any moment I can. Even those little moments here and there, I have a book with me and I'll just, I'll read a couple pages if I can until we need to get on to the next thing, or I need to mark something or whatever. So I would encourage you, if you can during the day, I mean, we all can if we really, really try. We can all find little pockets of time to do these things. It's okay, you know, if the laundry doesn't get switched right then and there, you know what I mean? Like, you have to kind of think and put things in perspective. It really is not, it's not going to ruin the entire day. So I think when you're going through times like this, the mom burnout, the homeschool burnout, you gotta just, it's about making it to the end. And I don't mean that you're in survival mode the whole time. I don't want you to get me wrong, because I don't want to make it sound like we're just surviving until school is done, because that's not what I mean. I'm just saying that, you know, it's normal to feel this way. We have been homeschooling for a long time now. And I think sometimes, like, as you're getting closer to the end, it becomes harder, because it's like the end seems just in sight and yet it's out of reach, you know? And so whatever you need to do to get through, again, just don't beat yourself up. Don't be hard on yourself, and try to put things into perspective. Like, is this really going to be detrimental if I let this thing go? Is this really going to affect my children in the long run if we don't do this thing today? Is this gonna ruin everything? Like, and I'm saying that because that's usually how we make things sound in our own minds, and it's usually not that extreme. We just make it that way. Anyway, I hope you guys are able to find the strength and the motivation to get through these last few weeks of homeschooling. Let me know down below, what have you been doing, if anything? What have you been doing to make it a little bit better, make it a little bit easier, help you kind of get out of that homeschool slump? I hope you guys were encouraged by this video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. I really appreciate the support, and it really helps out my channel. And I will see you all next time. Bye.